Day 2 of learning how to code, and I just typed real HTML for the first time, and now I fully understand what makes a website look like a website. If you're starting your coding journey too, this is the video you need, because we can do this together, alright? It was day 2 of learning how to code, and today I decided to learn a bit of HTML, which is the foundation of every website that has ever been created. HTML stands for hypertext language, but it is the structure of the web page. People normally call it the bones or the skeleton of building a website. So specifically today, I learned a bunch of HTML tags and what they do. So I'm gonna break down what I've learned and their function. One is the HTML tag, which just wraps up the whole page. It tells the browser everything inside here is HTML. Also, two, I've seen before that some people put doc type HTML so that the coding can understand that it is an HTML documentation. The next one is head. This part doesn't show on the page. It holds all the behind the scenes info like the page title or link of styling and scripts. Next is the body. Everything the user sees goes in there. Text, buttons, images, links, you name it. Next is H1 to H6. These are called headings. H1 being the biggest and most important, and H6 being the least important. They help you organize your content. I learned about P, which is a paragraph tag. It wraps your blocks of text. Next is the line break, which is BR. It skips to the next line, but it doesn't start a new paragraph. The next one is strong, which ends up putting your text in bold letters and tells the browser that this is important info. Next is EM, which is to italicize. Sorry, I have a hard time saying italicize. I don't know, your text, and also adds an emphasis so the readers can pay attention. B just bolds your text, but it doesn't tell the browser that is important. I just italicizes it, but it doesn't put much emphasis on it. A and then href, so basically them together, equals, and then you put a text in the middle. That probably was the hardest way for me to ever describe a piece of code. But hey, if you're trying to code, you probably know what I'm talking about. Is an anchor tag, which is used for links. You can link to another website and or to another page on your own site. Next is img_crc. This is how you import images onto a website. It displays an image. You can even add an attribute, which is alt, and that you can use that to describe the image on your website. And then there's a couple of things that I have yet to necessarily learn yet, but I have heard it, so I'm just gonna read it off my phone. One of them is UI, the other one is OL. I can't say if that's OL or OI, my bad, and the other one is LI. So these are for lists. UL is an unordered bulleted list, OL is ordered numbered, and then LI is each item. So that is something that I'm getting into because I want to know how to make lists, but I haven't really, they didn't really teach me that just yet. The next one is div, which is just div. It is a general container. It doesn't change how the page looks by default, helps organize layout and structure. And I've also heard somebody say using that one can also help with, you know, putting the text in the center, because I've heard a lot of people have trouble centering their text when it comes to making a website, and I heard some people talk about using that code or using that element to make sure. And next is span. This one I haven't necessarily heard too much about, but span is like a mini div for small bits of text you want to style without breaking a line. So normally you don't really hear about that one unless you're specifically trying to do something when it comes to your website. But those are the basic terms and elements that I ended up learning when it came to the HTML format. I was very intimidated before starting this, but now I realize HTML is actually very readable once you get a bit of understanding. It's like talking to a browser and telling it exactly what to do, and then it kind of just appears. It's simple instructions, really. I also learned that web developers really focus on one of these three things, either front end, back end, or database, which I am going to be leaning more towards front end because I don't have the logical or mathematics side yet. I haven't been learning that type of stuff. I learned a little bit when I took one course in computer science, but then I dropped out of the school, so I don't really know too much about it, and I didn't retain much information. So I'm leaning more towards front end, which actually involves me using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I'm going to be trying to get familiar with all three, but right now I'm starting with HTML, and it seems pretty easy to understand for the most part. Of course, I'm not too developed into it. I don't have a laptop yet that can actually code, so once I end up getting that laptop, I know I'm going to be on a good start. But based on what I'm learning, I think I know a good amount to potentially make like a little website, a tiny website, not pretty because I don't know CSS or JavaScript, but I can do it in HTML and kind of get it on that damn paper. You know what I'm saying? Lastly, what I've been doing that has been helping majorly, which is something you should be doing too if you are on this journey of learning code, is you can literally either go to ChatGPT and or look it up online and look up quizzes for what you are learning. That is simply what I'm doing with ChatGPT. I asked them to create me a roadmap to be able to learn as of right now without a laptop. Hopefully I can get one today or tomorrow though, maybe the next day, but without a laptop, so without actually being able to code. And ChatGPT gave me a roadmap for about a month and a half, which I didn't really need it to be that long without my laptop, but hey, they gave me a roadmap for about a month and a half, and then every time I go through it day by day of what they want me to learn for the day, I ask for a quiz, and then I end up seeing if I passed or not. And so for the second quiz, I actually ended up getting an 8 out of 10. I will be honest, listen, other people, they might not be honest about what they've got on these type of quizzes, and I didn't even really ask for like an easy, medium, or hard quiz, which you could do if you want. I asked for like just straight up a quiz for everything that I've learned, and I got 2 wrong. And what I had gotten wrong, I believe for the quiz, one question was where I was not really taught about B based on the videos that I was recommended by ChatGPT to watch. So when they showed me B, I was confused and I assumed that B was BR. So when they asked the question, I just got a little bit lost with that question. And then there was another question that came, which was which element was the one that allowed you, I don't remember if it said to click on links or to put links, but I think that's where I got it wrong because I didn't read the question carefully. So instead, I believe I clicked which one was it? href. But I think href is to not necessarily where you can click the link, but that's where you would paste it. But the A is what, like by itself, the A is what allows you to click the link. So I got it wrong, but just by, misreading the question. But I ended up getting 8 out of 10. And what I'm going to end up doing is by the time I get to day 3, I'm going to retake the quiz, or maybe a different quiz for day 1, just because I want to make sure that I'm remembering information that I'm receiving. I want to make sure that I'm continuously remembering it and actually learning it, and not just, taking the quiz for the day and then moving forward and then forgetting later down the years or later down the line. So I want to make sure that every other day I'm like retesting myself on these quizzes. And when I get to a point of comfortability, I'll probably stop testing myself on it until like 2 weeks instead, and then see if I could still remember, just to keep my brain fresh on the type of stuff that I'm learning, because I really do plan on making this an actual career. I'm just on day 2 though, you know what I'm saying? So hey, who am I? This might not be in my cards, but I truly believe though that I could do it, and I feel very much committed to doing it. So if you are following along or just starting out like me, drop a comment and tell me what tag surprised you the most today, or whatever you were learning. What is something that you were learning and it's shocking, and because it's new to you, right? I would love to hear from people who are actually just learning how to code, as well as people who already know how to code and could probably give me some insights and or correct me on certain things if I'm saying certain things wrong. Let's learn together. Subscribe if you are down to keep coding with me, or keep coding every day. Tomorrow will be day 3, and we are diving deeper into this journey.